Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope you're all having a great day today because today we're going to be checking out some gaming journalism brain rot, and today's brain rot comes from none other than IGN. Basically, IGN made an article where they compare the Switch 2 to the Steam Deck, and they say that the Switch 2 is better despite the fact that, well, the Switch 2 is not even out yet. And they say ridiculous things, and they even go as far to say basically that the Switch 2 has better features than the Steam Deck. But I don't want to waste too much time on today's intro. Let's just go ahead and get into the article, man. Nintendo Switch 2 versus Steam Deck Battle of the Handhelds. How does Nintendo's next console stack up? The Nintendo Switch 2 Direct finally revealed exactly what the Nintendo Switch 2 can do and what it costs. But alongside the hype came the burden of realization. Consoles are getting expensive. Yeah, in this console generation, the PS5 and Series X generation, it's even worse because the price actually goes up over time instead of down. Oh yeah, and apparently, if I forgot to mention this on my channel before, Sony had a price increase on their consoles like a couple weeks ago, I think it was. Dude, I just love modern gaming so much, it's so great. It's never been a better time to be a gamer. Nintendo Switch 2's price has breached into the realm of what I'd expect from handheld gaming PCs, which cost anywhere from $400 to $900. Yeah, and those are full-on computers. Well, kind of. But it's not just the hardware that's more expensive, the games are getting more expensive too, making the affordability of the original Switch a distant dream. Are we not gonna act like the original Switch wasn't expensive too? Not in the price of the console, but the games. And guess what? Those games are still full price. I went down to the store the other day, and I still see Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for $79.99 Canadian. Oh, and don't forget, if you actually want to play the game online, you gotta pay for a subscription as well. Awesome. I made a whole video like 2 years ago talking about how much I hate paid subscriptions for online gaming, and it still holds true to this day. I still agree with everything I said in that video. It's like buying food from a restaurant but then having to pay to eat it. So not only are all the games still full price, you're not even getting the full game in a lot of cases. You're getting the game minus the online component unless you want to pay for that too. Which I made the mistake of buying Mario Maker 2 without online, and I literally couldn't even download levels off the internet. I could do hardly anything without a subscription. I would love to see one of the usual fanboys that frequent my comment section try to defend that. Wow, that was a long tangent. Alright, let's get back to the article. Compared to the Steam Deck, which was once far more expensive than the Switch, Valve's handheld gaming PC and the Nintendo Switch 2 are in a similar lane. So if you're looking to get into the handheld gaming scene, which is better, Nintendo Switch 2 or Steam Deck? Now from here the article is split up into 3 different sections talking about different aspects. These 3 sections are price, specs and performance, and software and features. We're going to start with software and features because it has the most bullshit. Nintendo Switch 2 versus Steam Deck. Software and features. Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch 2 are intended for different audiences, so directly comparing features can be confusing. If you're primarily a PC gamer with a large Steam library or have a penchant for emulation, the Steam Deck is a fantastic option. Switch 2 is best for fans of Nintendo exclusives or those willing to leap into a new console ecosystem. Thankfully, if you did own the original Switch, your game library is backwards compatible, both digitally and physically. I mean, you can play all your games that you own on the Steam Deck as well. Some you might have to tinker with, but you can still get them working. And now that you bring up emulation, technically the Steam Deck is backwards compatible with every Nintendo system ever released, meaning you can actually play more Nintendo games on a Steam Deck than the Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2's most exciting new feature is that its Joy-Con function as mice. As seen in Drag X Drive, players glide the bottom of their Joy-Con controllers against a surface, even hands, to move forward, backward, and even turn. Mouse functionality extends beyond just games that require it, with Metroid 4 Beyond featuring mouse functionality while aiming as if you're playing on PC. Steam Deck does something similar with its two trackpads, but they don't emulate the mouse experience quite as well. If you know anything about first-person shooters, trying to play them on a trackpad is a nightmare. I like how you don't bring up that you can actually plug in a full-on keyboard and mouse to your Steam Deck and play it on a monitor, giving you a true keyboard and mouse experience, something the Switch cannot do. But not only can you plug in your keyboard and mouse to your Steam Deck, you can also plug in whatever controller you want. On the Switch 2, you are forced to buy the overpriced Joy-Cons, which, I mean, if we're gonna be completely honest, drift more than your average drunk driver. While not new to the Switch 2, its detachable Joy-Con, docking station, and backstand offers handheld, tabletop, and docked modes. It's easy to take that versatility for granted, but the Steam Deck isn't capable of this. An official Steam Deck docking station does exist, but it's sold separately, and the console does not have a backstand or detachable controllers. It's primarily a handheld device. I can't talk about Switch 2's features without bringing up Game Chat, Nintendo's solution to online communication with its own dedicated C button. Not only can you video chat with friends while playing games, but the console has a built-in microphone. Players can even stream their gameplay to one another. Certain games have built-in functionality for a Nintendo Switch 2 camera peripheral, where games like Mario Party Jamboree can place an image of your face next to your character. However, a Nintendo Switch Online membership will be required to use Game Chat after March 31st, 2026. Yeah, and on the Steam Deck, you don't need any membership to use Game Chat. I'm pretty sure you can also stream your screen with Discord. But can we talk about how Nintendo is charging you to use Game Chat? Something that was industry standard and free on the Xbox 360, even if you didn't have a membership for online? Comparatively, Steam Deck is feature light. Excuse me? The Steam Deck is feature light? There's no way this is a real article. Bro, gaming journalists wonder why they get made fun of so much, yet they post articles like this. The Steam Deck can do everything a computer can do, yet it's feature light? Okay, man. It's a dedicated handheld machine primarily focused on playing games available on Steam. However, it gains the additional benefit of an enormous software library. Whereas Switch 2 titles will need direct ports, Steam Deck owners will have access to a wider range of games. Not only will you need a port, but then you gotta pay to actually benefit from a Switch 2 port in some instances. Like I know Tears of the Kingdom, you have to pay for the game to actually run well on hardware you already bought. That would be like if I bought a new graphics card and I had to pay to use the extra performance. If you defend this, you are a moron. Switch is the champion of form factor versatility, and the new features coming to the Switch 2 solidify that. Steam Deck pulls ahead with software diversity. We all know how much IGN loves their diversity. But the inventiveness of the Switch 2 is impressive. Winner, Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, the Steam Deck can do everything a PC can do. End of discussion. Alright, so the next section we're going to go over is performance. Now, I'm not going to read off all of these things because, in all honesty, I don't really know what it means. I don't know about CUDA cores and all that. TLDR, they give the winner to the Switch 2, which, I mean, nobody should be surprised about. The Switch 2 is newer than the Steam Deck, but I guarantee when the Steam Deck 2 comes out, it's going to be better than the Switch 2. But now is time we go over the final section of this article, and that is price, and then we can go ahead and read their conclusion. That in and of itself is a drastic price leap, but there's the added possibility of it getting even higher with the threat of tariffs on the horizon. Pre-orders for Switch 2 were delayed from their original April 9th date in the US, with Nintendo telling us that it was in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. The 90-day tariff pause put a temporary stop to that, with pre-orders going live on April 24th. But there's no saying what happens when tariffs return in July. It's hard to make definitive statements on value as a result, but let's move forward with the prices we know. The Steam Deck starts at $400 for its 256GB LCD model, barely undercutting the Switch 2. The 512GB and 1TB OLED models are $550 and $650 respectively, so it quickly gets more expensive. The price of hardware isn't all you should consider though. Software costs ramp up quickly, and Nintendo has taken a leap with Switch 2 by raising the ceiling in AAA game pricing. Mario Kart World at $80 is the prime example, setting a new precedent for the future. There's no telling what Steam game prices will look like in the coming years, but as it stands now, the deck pulls ahead of the Switch 2 with a lower starting cost and more affordable games library. Winner, Steam Deck. So no surprises here. Nobody in their right mind could give this to the Switch 2. But let's go ahead and read their conclusion. The winner is the Nintendo Switch 2. Is it premature to award the crown to a console that isn't out yet? Spoiler alert, yes. Maybe, but the Switch 2 is shaping up to be a phenomenal machine, surpassing the Steam Deck in versatility of features and graphics performance. In Steam Deck's defense, there's no telling what a successor could be capable of, especially with the AMD Z2 Extreme APU yearning desperately for implementation. There's one element that the current Steam Deck is ahead in: value. Switch 2 is expensive, and its software even more so. If you're concerned about game prices in the future, Steam Deck is likely your best bet. Otherwise, Switch 2 has awesome new features like Joy-Con that can act as mice, and a powerful NVIDIA SoC with DLSS support, I'm not sure what that is. On top of everything that already made the Switch fantastic, it's shaping up to be the stronger choice. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's video. Obviously, that was a pretty bad article, and I definitely disagree with a lot of it, but if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, and I'm out.